And obviously, a lot of people are yelling at Zohran, understandably, for his way of framing this as well. Okay. Everyone is going to give awful statements on this. I do not think a single person in American politics, no matter how supposedly base they are, is going to look at the situation and be like, October 7 marks 2 years of Israel's genocide. Okay, that's it. That's it. 2 years. Yeah, Zohran came out and made this statement. 2 years ago today, Hamas carried out a horrific war crime, killing more than 1,100 Israelis and kidnapping 250 more. I mourn these lives and pray for the safe return of every hostage still held and for every family whose lives were torn apart by these atrocities. In the aftermath of that day, like, you can say this on October 8th, 2023. You can say this maybe in the first, not even in the first year, marking the first year of the genocide. But, like, you know, the time for October 7 recognitions has completely fucking, we've moved on. Okay? This is ridiculous. Especially because Israel does not give a fuck about the hostages. Israel has consistently shown that they do not give a fuck about the hostages. They've killed hostages. Sometimes they've directly shot hostages and murdered them. Other times they have blown up buildings where some of the hostages and prisoners of war were staying in. The families of the hostages have also stated over and over again that the Israeli government does not give a fuck about them and their family members. Dylan Saba says, Hamas committed a singular crime. Mamdani does not distinguish between military and civilian targets or casualties, instead of labeling the entire operation and armed resistance as such as criminal, whereas Netanyahu launched a war. These kinds of mealy-mouthed proclamations pretend to be rooted in universalism. Peace must be pursued through diplomacy, not war crimes, but at essence affirm the permanent subjugation of the oppressed and the illegality of revolution. Okay? If he does not want to engage this hard truth, he should just be silent. The Palestinians are not political pawns for him to use or condemn based on the exigencies of electoral politics, solidarity, or nothing. Does this not concern you? It does. It concerns me twofold. One, because this is a guy who has literally been hounded by Canary Mission and all these other fucking places in perpetuity for his consistent advocacy for the Palestinian emancipation. They're not going to fucking turn around and all of a sudden be like, yeah, this Muslim guy who was an anti-Zionist for his entire activism is all of a sudden good now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mahmoud Mamdani, Zohran's father, Palestinians have a right to resist. This is a colonial occupation, not a conflict. May 12th, 2021. It's true. They do have a right to resist. Like, on the one hand, I make no... I don't mix my words when talking about, like, the events that transpired on October 7, right? There is, you know, there were atrocities that took place on October 7. It's true. Having said that, you have to always match the events that took place on October 7 within the proper framework of existing under colonial subjugation. Okay? Yes, I don't mince words. Sorry, not mix words. ESL. I don't mince words. It's true, right? So the crimes that took place on October 7 have to be seen within the proper context. Within the proper context of 75 years of settler colonial apartheid oppression, death and destruction. Numerous October 7s had taken place prior upon the Palestinian population. Numerous October 7s. And I think people that still carry water, or people that still heighten the death and destruction of October 7 and the atrocities of October 7 in these words, are in my opinion, carrying a little bit of water, whether inadvertently or deliberately, for the ongoing genocide. Okay? Because we have to understand the asymmetry that exists here between a Palestinian death, which is collateralized, which is seen as just like a number, a statistic, an unfortunate statistic, if at that, versus every Israeli death is a tragedy. Every single one. When Israelis die, that is a horrible tragedy that took place. But when Palestinians die, when Palestinians are killed, right? When an Israeli is killed, horrifying tragedy. It's the most significant thing that has ever taken place. Okay, we must mourn. We must change the way we talk about everything. And yet when Palestinians are killed, when they're slaughtered en masse, when they are being genocided, no such considerations exist. So Zohran said, 2 years ago today, Hamas carried out a horrific war crime, killing more than 1,100 Israelis and kidnapping 250 more. I mourn these lives, and I pray for the safe return of every hostage still held, and for every family whose lives were torn apart by these atrocities. In the aftermath of that day, Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israeli government launched a genocidal war, a death toll that now far exceeds 67,000, with the Israeli military bombing homes, hospitals, and schools into rubble. Every day in Gaza has become a place where grief itself has run out of language. I mourn these lives and pray for the families that have been shattered. Our government has been complicit through it all. I mean, he salvages it a little bit in the aftermath. This must end. The occupation and apartheid must end. Peace must be pursued through diplomacy, not war crimes, and our government must act to end those atrocities and hold those responsible to account. The last 2 years have demonstrated the very worst of humanity. We must answer it by modeling the very best, a relentless pursuit of our higher ideals and an unwavering commitment to universal human rights. The genocidal war thing, like people are hyper focusing on the rest of this stuff, but it's not bad. Okay. Once again, I don't think that this is because this message is not going to soothe those who are cackling like fucking hyenas about Zohran's anti-Semitism. I think the conversation starting off with this, how can you be annoyed about this statement? I'm telling you what the issue is. Okay. I don't think you guys are understanding my the criticisms that I have, because October 7 is being utilized as a justification for the genocide that has unfolded after. Okay? Making October 7 the pivotal point, the inception for Israel's genocide, is a lie. And it's one that he knows is a lie. Do you understand? He knows that this didn't start on October 7. So explaining the atrocities on October 7 without making a mention of Israel's own involvement, without making any mention whatsoever, without talking about it within the proper context, makes it seem as though you're bringing it up as a way to, in some respects, still justify the atrocities that Israel has taken place, like giving it some kind of, giving Israel's actions, his genocidal actions and his genocidal ambitions, some kind of cause. Here's what Ruwa said. Statement on the 2-year anniversary of October 7 and ongoing genocide. For 2 years, we have witnessed atrocities beyond human comprehension. 2 years of horrific violence, mass displacement, and incalculable loss. I'm telling you right now, guys, Zohran doesn't believe that. I know for a fact that he doesn't believe that because, it's just, if you have been an advocate for Palestinian emancipation for decades prior to this, it comes from a recognition of the humanity of Palestinians from the start, okay? If you recognize Palestinians as human beings with a just cause for emancipation, okay, then you already understand this dynamic. You understand why when people get pushed into a fucking corner and recognize that there is no other, there is no other way out of this, okay? My statement on the last 36 hours across Israel and Palestine, this is what he said on October 8th, okay, from Zohran Mamdani. On ongoing violence in Israel and Palestine, I mourn the hundreds of people killed across Israel and Palestine in the last 36 hours. Netanyahu's declaration of war, the Israeli government's decision to cut electricity to Gaza, and Knesset members calling for another Nakba will undoubtedly lead to more violence and suffering in the days and weeks to come. The path towards a just and lasting peace can only begin by ending the occupation and dismantling the apartheid. Look at that statement when he wasn't running for mayor. Cool. Now he's running for mayor of New York City. Stop self-sabotaging with these unrealistic expectations. Brother, I'm not saying he should be saying praise the fucking heroes of the Al-Qassam brigades or some shit. What are you talking about? My demand and my hope is that politicians exhibit moral courage and say the truth instead of lying by omission. How do you not understand that? My demand isn't that Zohran. My demand isn't that fucking, Zohran goes above and beyond. I think the omission in his statement comes from the fact that there is an evening out, a mention of October 7, which then creates a justification structure for Israel's actions, making it seem as though that's when it started, okay, which is incorrect. There is no symmetry. And as long as you do not actually address that there is no symmetry here, as long as you don't actually address the fact that October 7 was a breaking point after the culmination of atrocities for 75 fucking years, then you are basically, once again, creating a permission structure for Israel's violence, even if it's subtle, and simultaneously lying by omission. Anyway, let's hear what Ruvo had to say to see what a better statement looks like. For 2 years, we have witnessed the atrocities beyond human comprehension. 2 years of horrific violence, mass displacement, and incalculable loss. 2 years of having to mourn the deaths of men, women, children, and entire families. 2 years of families desperate to be reunited with those taken hostage. We remain angry, heartbroken, and once again, call on our leaders to bring an end to the destruction that has killed at least 67,000 Palestinians and more than 1,100 Israelis. Sadly, our leaders continue to fail us. I mean, that's, whatever. While they trumpet proposals of alleged peace, little has changed. Every day this continues. Israel, with our backing and tax dollars, perpetuates more death, destruction, and horror in Gaza. Children are starving. Hostages remain in captivity. Every day that passes isn't just a policy failure. It furthers one of humanity's darkest periods in recent memory. Today, we reiterate our calls to stop sending bombs in violation of our laws. We reaffirm the need for leaders to reach a just solution and a lasting peace agreement for all those living in the region. We echo the demands for the release of Israeli and Palestinian hostages. May the children born today grow up without genocide, apartheid, and oppressive cycles that perpetuate more violence. May we all have the courage to end decades of violence and bloodshed that's claimed so many lives. Together, we can bring an end to this nightmare. So, I think ultimately, if you put it within the confines of if you look at this within the framework of well established and consequential atrocities that took place, it'll help you understand what the issue is, right? It would be akin to speaking out against the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising by saying the partisans, Jewish partisans, carried out a horrific war crime in the Warsaw Ghetto, killing Nazis and also civilians in the process, and kidnapping others. I mourn the lives lost in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. And I pray for the safe return of the Nazi soldiers and also the civilians. Okay? If you were to say something along those lines, if you were to talk about the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising or any sort of militancy that came from Jewish partisans at the time, as October 7, as the Holocaust was taking place, I think most people would understand that that is a false equivalency. The same goes for the Nat Turner Rebellion. The post that you prefer is also a lie by omission, though, just in the opposite direction. I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. Because I'm not saying don't mention October 7 or don't mention like war crimes that took place on October 7 at all. I'm saying that when you do mention that, you have to still talk about it within the framework of 75 years of apartheid, especially in the aftermath of 2 years of genocide that has taken place. To me, it comes across as utterly ridiculous. And I think a lot of people, I don't think you always have to talk about it within that framework. No, I think you do, especially because October 7 is very clearly being weaponized to continue the death and destruction campaign. That's my take. I think Mamdani's made it very clear with his rhetoric that he's pro-Palestine and anti-Zionist. Oh, I agree. I'm not saying that he is... I'm not saying that he is fallen by the wayside or he's like been compromised. It's like Zohran and CIA or any of those things, okay? I'm actually looking at this exclusively within the framework of optics, okay? I don't think his heart has changed. I don't think his mindset has changed at all, okay? Bro, you've said October 7 was bad. Should we be dogpiling you too? I always talk about it within the framework of colonial occupation, though. Okay? Just simply leaving it as such is allowing people to take advantage of this this kind of rhetoric. And his own statement, when we're looking at this simply from an optics perspective, I also don't think this is going to work. Okay? This doesn't mean that all of a sudden you should go and vote for like Curtis Sliwa, obviously. That's not what I'm talking about at all. In terms of, within the confines of electoralism, Zohran is above and beyond. Make no mistake. But my job is to also look at statements such as this one and remind people that there is a specific reason for why he is saying this, right? And in the aftermath of thousands of October 7s that he also personally recognizes Palestinians have faced, it's not even appropriate to say October 7s as though Israel is conducting, boots on the ground military warfare and doing October 7s. Like Israel has access to every single Palestinian. Israel has access to their phones. Israel knows where they live. And Israel has utilized that as a belligerent occupier. Israel has access to all of the aid that goes into the Strip and had access to all the aid that went into the Strip prior to October 7 as well. Israel's taken thousands of Palestinians hostage. There is no equivocation here. It's just not. It's not something that that you can you can approach as though it's like there's no symmetry whatsoever. And when you approach it like this, you're not even making anybody on the opposing side feel more comfortable, because all of the things that come after is what Zionists care about. This is already unacceptable. The very fact that your name is Zohran Kwame Mamdani and that you are a Muslim anti-Zionist is already unacceptable for them. So, you have to ask, like, who is this for? And I guess maybe it's for the squishy liberals who obviously want the scary Muslim man to at least like say the right word, or people who obviously see him as a shining bright light in a new way to do politics in this country. Will obviously overlook this statement. I just personally think that statements such as this one are not actually going to win him favors with a lot of people, because the pro-genocide people are still going to call him a fucking terrorist today. They're going to call him a terrorist tomorrow, and they're going to try to continue to do everything they can to unseat him, to make sure that he doesn't win the election. My point is, after 2 years of genocide, and this is good faith critique for a person who I admire, okay? I don't care if the ultras or some in the pro-Palestinian crowd get mad at me for saying this. I have, I have no worries about openly stating that I admire what Zohran has done. And I think he is a positive force in American politics. And he's in a unique predicament. And I don't think that this, for the normies, is going to make people think, oh, Zohran is betraying the Palestinian cause. Like, I don't think normies are going to think that at all. I think for normies, this is a perfectly appropriate statement that still very much channels the truth and the most consequential aspects. Why would Palestinians be upset with that sentiment? Because not only Palestinians, but the pro-Palestinian side of the pro-Palestinian crowd understands that Palestinians are fucking human beings, and that human beings have a just and moral cause for emancipation after decades and decades of dehumanization and brutal apartheid. So when you create an equivocation between the actions and make it seem as though October 7 is the starting point for Israel's genocide, you end up doing the thing that, kind of Bernie has been doing as well. It's an admission that Palestinian lives are just simply worth less. There is no justification for genocide. And I think that should be stated. If you're anti-genocide, like I am, you should recognize that. Saying that this did not start on October 7 is appropriate. Saying that there is no amount of atrocity that justifies the horrific nature of Israel's genocide appropriate is the truth. That's it. Yeah. This is nauseating. Mamdani is little more than a Muslim terrorist. It is a disgrace he was ever granted citizenship. It should be stripped, and he should be deported to the Ugandan shithole he came from. This is the outcome of pandering and capitulating, because it's never enough for them. So why not just stand on your beliefs instead of losing both sides. I don't think he's losing the pro-Palestinian side. By and large, the average American that finds himself to be openly anti-Zionist, including people in my community, are not going to fucking look at this and be like, I can't believe he did this. Fuck this guy. There are some who will say that, and it doesn't matter. I care more about the signaling. You are under no circumstances you are obligated to cave and capitulate to your opposition's framing. Look at this. Why can't we condemn the October 7 genocide? You think October 7 was a genocide? You think October 7 was a genocide? Was 9/11 a genocide, chatter? Are you okay? Do you understand, chatters? Isn't it about intent? Okay, yeah. Genocidal intent actually plays a major role. Okay, yeah. What do you think the intent of October 7 was? To genocide all Israelis? Is that what you think October 7 was about? This is insane. I don't question his morals as much as I question his political acumen. Yeah, I don't think his morals are different here. I don't support targeting civilians in any case. If targeting civilians in every case is a genocide, literally every fucking war is a genocide. Okay? Everything is a genocide. There is no difference between what a genocide is and what war is in general. Here, the easiest solution is like if October 7 was a genocide, I can't even fucking do it. I'm sorry. That's so fucking stupid. Yeah. What we did in Dresden was a genocide, I guess, to the fucking Nazis. Yeah. Tyler Robinson genocided, allegedly, Charlie Kirk. Do you think the Americans committed genocide on the Japanese during World War II? No, I don't, actually. I think they committed war crimes, but I don't think they committed genocide on the Japanese during World War II, so no. Also, that's state versus state violence. You're comparing state versus state violence to a captive population rebelling against a belligerent occupier. This is why it's important to explain the background, chatters. Thank God for this one chatter, as a matter of fact. This is why it's important. This is why words matter. This is why explaining things within the proper, appropriate context fucking matters. Because if you don't do that, then you have chatters like this. Then you have people who believe that October 7 was also a genocide, the double genocide theory of October 7 versus the 2 years after October 7. Like you cannot look at World War II, a war between two states in the Pacific theater, as October 7, where the Palestinian resistance groups conducting a military operation, breaking through the Gaza boundary, okay, to try and kidnap Israelis, to draw back Israel to the negotiations table with very specific, laid out, clear-cut goals, moving in the direction of developing sovereignty for the Palestinians as America's firebombing of Tokyo. It's like saying that the ANC was committing a genocide, a white genocide against the white Afrikaners. Or the FLM was committing genocide. It's like saying the IRA was committing genocide. There's actually a real debate among scholars on whether 10/7 constituted genocide, but I don't think there's a case for it. It's far easier to argue that the attack was a political maneuver by the resistance than an attempt at extermination. It would be similar to any other genocide, and to me is more similar to Native American raids on white towns during American settlement. Yes, that's precisely what it is. That is precisely what it is. It's ridiculous. Ultimately, if you considered Palestinians as fucking human beings that have been subject to countless atrocities over the course of 75 years at that point of Israeli domination, then you would never consider October 7 to be a genocide. It's ridiculous. Any leftist mad at this has to think seriously practically about what would be achieved by a mayoral candidate praising October 7th beyond the emotional benefit. I'm not expecting him to praise October 7, man. I think anytime you mention October 7, you have to mention what came after it, which he does, okay? And what came before it, which he doesn't do. That's it. In the simplest terms, that's my expectation. Because if you don't do that, then there is a false symmetry that you create. And that false symmetry is exactly what Israel and Israel defenders use to varying degrees. It's not the worst statement of all time, as some people are presenting it. Like, I think Graham Plattner's statement is worse. On October 7, Hamas launched a horrific terrorist attack against the people of Israel. 2 years later, I'm still calling for all the hostages to be released and for this war to finally end. It's time for peace. Like, that's ridiculous. That's fucking ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? What do you mean? Yeah, I can't believe October 7 happened. Well, I got into a coma on October 8th, 2023, and just woke up from that coma on October 7, 2025. So I'm just oblivious. Not only is this position wrong, but it also literally is unnecessary. A lot of people are already on fuck Israel o'clock. And I think these statements are unnecessary. Like, the way that they're presenting this is not even fucking necessary. You're not winning anybody over because they already know you're anti-genocide while you're simultaneously pissing off people. It makes you look insincere. Zohran's statement is far better than Graham Plattner's statement, okay? Which just begins and ends on October 7. Just ridiculous. Is he doing this because he's getting an AIPAC check? No, obviously not. He's doing this because these guys still don't understand how to communicate. They still don't understand how to communicate about this issue in a way that is, like, appropriate. Americans hate Israel right now in the genocide, but there's still even more anti-Hamas terrorism 10/7. This is pretty clear in polling. Americans are squishy. I understand that, which is why good leadership requires a demonstration of moral courage. Sometimes it takes moral courage to say the truth. It took moral courage for Zohran to say the truth on October 8th, 2023. It took moral courage for many pro-Palestinians to come out and basically state over and over again that October 7 was not You know, it didn't just like happen out of nowhere, and it certainly wasn't because of the deeply rooted anti-Semitic tendencies of Palestinian society. Like they're a bunch of fucking little Dylan Roofs or something with copies of fucking Mein Kampf. That is what's frustrating to me, because if you don't say the truth, then you end up allowing other people to also make up their minds about this issue and continue to believe the wrong things. It is a misrepresentation. That's it. Do not misrepresent my position. My expectation is not for them to like praise October 7 or something. I never have. Okay. But no mention of what took place prior to October 7 that led to October 7 is omission. And especially at a time when people are already experiencing anti-Israel sentiment like never before. This is not a time to retreat at all. This is a time to actually stand on your principles and bravely say the truth. Even if you start a conversation about that, that's still objectively a good thing. Not only is it objectively a good thing, it's also one that I know will be beneficial for you. You can't support immigration without supporting Israel? What? Why? Why? Let me guess. Because Jews are the reason why there's immigration into America, a country that was incredibly resistant to Jewish immigration at the time as well. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. You're so fucking stupid, dumbass. Yeah, it was Jewish mind control that made Americans, made America the nation comprised entirely of immigrants. Okay, that's what it was. Clean and simple. Yeah, it's clean and simple if you're a fucking idiot, dude. If you don't understand anything about how America formed as a country. Thank you for agreeing. Yes, I'm agreeing that you are a moron. Oh, that username is, oh, yeah, fucking perma, that guy. I think educated pro-Palestine people underestimate how many normies are not knowledgeable of the occupation apartheid that existed before October 7. These normies could even be anti-genocide, anti-Israel, and still not fully understand the extent of the previous Israeli occupation of Palestine. That's why recognizing the context both before and after October 7 is so important. Thank you. Exactly. You put it into words that are so easy to understand. Thank you, Social Cat 6. That's my point. Precisely. Well said. Well said. It's that simple, especially at a time when there's like unprecedented anger towards Israel for its transparent genocide that has taken place for the past 2 years. There is no reason to not talk about how Israel has utilized October 7 to further its genocidal ambition, and how Israeli occupation has led to October 7 to begin with. Maybe I'm missing something, but I just don't see the equivocation in Zohran's statement. Zohran's statement is not as bad as the average person that's coming out today, okay? It's not. People are obviously going to be extra critical of him because he has spent many, many years being an avowed anti-Zionist, okay? That is the reason why a lot of people are extra critical. We are always more critical to our closest allies. That's how it usually goes. My only take on this one, my only take in this moment is like I said, mentions of October 7 without talking about like what led to October 7 is omitting key details. That's it. That's it. Do I believe that he's no longer an anti-Zionist? Fuck no. I don't think so at all. But especially given his background, I think like any sort of statement on this issue that does not talk about what came after and what came prior, which he did. He did talk about what came after without like tying it back to October 7, ironically enough, but did not mention what came before, creates a false symmetry between the Palestinian initiatives for liberation and also Israel's genocidal apartheid regime and occupation prior to October 7 and certainly after October 7 as well. Okay, you are better than him on this. I got it. Wait, what? Dude said he wants to arrest Bibi. Eat me with your hyperbolic ass, dude. Lost that guy to Candace. Not that bad. Spending 90 minutes on why it's bad. Okay, you are better than him on this. Got it. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to flex how fucking moral I am. Why is it that there's no nuance ever fucking allowed in this conversation, especially about people that I openly state my admiration for? You've been in here for fucking 59 months. I'm not saying he's like CIA or he's just like controlled opposition or anything like that. I'm not saying those things. I think those things are stupid. Okay? This specific chatter has done this to you before, Tulamau. I know. What a lot of chatters also don't understand is that if it wasn't for bold people like Zohran, if Zohran had that same attitude that you are experiencing right now, he may not have even fucking won the election, won the primaries, okay? It was his position that was previously seen as radical that many people now take for fucking granted because he actually was uncompromising. Sometimes it's okay to say the truth, even when a lot of people are fucking yelling at you over it. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Okay? This is not to say like he's betrayed the cause or anything like that. I'm not saying those things. Calm the fuck down. When is it not okay to say the truth? I mean, I think it's always okay to say the truth. It's always appropriate to say the truth. Low bar, but I think Zohran's political instincts, especially on Israel-Palestine, are what, better than AOC? Yes. Well, Zohran has that background as opposed to AOC not having that background. Yeah, this is a video that's 34 years old. Nothing started on October 7. Wait, hold on. Let me see if there's any. I'm trying to see if there's TOS on this.
We have to fight back. The people are fighting back with their stones while they're getting shot at with live ammunition.
Are you never afraid?
Well, there's times that you get afraid. There was a demonstration today.
After church, they went on a demonstration, and Israeli soldiers shot at them like they do every day.
fight for what